Pericarditis. Peri means around, card means heart, itis means inflammation. Inflammation around heart. What is a structure around heart? This is pericardium. Uh, Parietal pericardium. This pericardium is parietal pericardium, and visceral pericardium we are not able to show. This is around heart and attached to heart, and there is inflammation in pericardium. And there is and this visceral pericardium secretes fluid, and that fluid lies between two pericardium, visceral and parietal pericardium, and amount of secretion is equal to amount of absorption. And so there is limited amount of fluid always in between two pericardium for a smooth running of heart. It acts like lubricant for the heart. And when there is pericarditis, inflammation in visceral pericardium, secretion of fluid exceeds absorption, and so there is excessive amount of fluid between two pericardiums, and this is called pericardial effusion. And when this pericardial effusion is excessive, this can lead to pericardial tamponade. This pericardial fluid will press on heart, and during diastole it will inhibit expansion of heart, and so there will be less filling during diastole of heart, and so less filling means less cardiac output. So patient will present like cardiac shock. There will be tachycardia and hypotension. And in India, this pericardial tamponade is usually due to tuberculosis. And after years of treatment of this pericardial tamponade, patient will have constrictive pericarditis. This is pericardium constricting the heart, and this pericardium is stiff. It will not allow expansion of heart during diastole, and so there will be same feature like pericardial tamponade. Uh, there will be features of cardiac shock. Etiology. In India, tuberculosis is most important cause, almost always. And in Western countries, it's a viral or idiopathic. And viruses responsible for pericarditis are HIV, hepatitis, mumps, coccidiosis A and B, and herpes viruses. Pericarditis may be pathogenic and due to staphylococcus or pneumococcus, may be due to fungus. Hypothyroidism, hypothyroid myxedema is very common all over the world. So, pericarditis or cardiac tamponade due to myxedema, and it will be pain-free. So, myxedema is also very important cause in almost whole universe. Renal failure, uremia, tumor may be primary mesothelioma or secondary from lungs, breast, or leukemia or lymphoma. And trauma is also common. Myocardial infarction, rheumatic fever, collagen diseases like SLE, rheumatoid arthritis, and ankylosing spondylitis and scleroderma, post-irradiation, drug-induced, and post-cardiac injury like after surgery, pericardiotomy, and post-traumatic and post-myocardial infarction. This is called Dressler syndrome. It happens after 20-30 days after AMI, and this I was asked in UPSC Viva for my job. Clinical findings. Chest pain is most common, and it will be dull or sharp or stabbing in character, and this pain will be referred to neck, arm, and left shoulder, and this will mimic like acute MI, and differentiation is very important. You have to treat according to condition. If it's MI, you have to treat MI, or is due to pain. The pain is due to pericarditis. You have to treat pericarditis, but you should not confuse. And this pain is aggravated by during inspiration, coughing, and in lying down position, and is relieved by sitting and leaning forward in tripod position. This pain will be relieved. and patient may not present with pain. Pericardial effusion or pericarditis patient may not present with pain in tubercular or post-radiation and neoplastic pericarditis. Patient may not present with pain as it happens in India. Usually, patient present they have minimal pain in tuberculous pericarditis and they present late with uh, tamponade or massive pericardial effusion. And friction rub is second important findings. And friction rub is also called cardiac rub, and this is leathery sound as if to uh, rubbing to leathery objects, and it will be high pitch and grating in character, and can be mono, bi, or triphasic. It may be due to atrial systole or ventricular systole or ventricular diastole. Uh, two layers of the visceral and parietal pericardium will rub with each other and it will produce a sound, and it may be mono, bi, or triphasic. During atrial systole it can produce sound, during ventricular systole or during ventricular diastole, and heard at the end of expiration, and with best heard with diaphragm of a stethoscope in left external border with patient upright and leaning forward. And third, patient may have fever, dyspnea, and manifestation of primary diseases. I have discussed there are so many conditions where we get this pericarditis. So patient will have manifestation of primary diseases. Clinical features. Increased cardiac dullness. It will be due to cardiomegaly. Muffled heart sound. There is fluid around heart, so heart sound will be muffled. Rest JBP, hepatomegaly, ascites, and edema of dependent parts. These are all findings of right ventricular failure, and in especially in it will not we will not see these in pericarditis, simple pericarditis. It will be seen in cardiac tamponade and constructive pericarditis. JVP will be raised, hepatomegaly, ascites, and edema of dependent parts. And pulses paradoxus. This is seen in cardiac tamponade. During inspiration, there is a drop in blood pressure of the patient, systolic blood pressure from 10 to 20 mmHg. We can notice during uh, uh, taking blood pressures, 10 to 20 mmHg drop in inspiration. This is normal, but in pulses paradoxus, this exceeds the limit 10 to 20 mmHg, and it will be more than 20 mmHg, and this is seen in cardiac tamponade. And how it happens? Because during inspiration, right heart is filled. Right heart will be filled excessively during inspiration, and it will push this interventricular septum. You can see in this figure, it has pushed, and so left ventricle will be uh, filled less. Systolic volume uh, will be less, and so cardiac output will be decreased during inspiration, and this is called pulsus paradoxus. And a reduction in cardiac output and peak pulse. We have already seen due to cardiac tamponade. This is excessive fluid, and this fluid is pressing on heart, and so it will not allow expansion of heart during diastole, and so filling will be reduced. Less filling, less cardiac output. So there will be reduction in cardiac output, and pulse will be weak, like cardiogenic shock. And we must remember this backstride. Backstride is hypotension, soft or absent heart sound, and rest JVP distension is called backstride. Uh, I was uh, I was in operation theater, and one patient came with a stab injury. There was a stab injury in abdomen, and surgeon was thinking it's limited to only abdominal wall. I started doing PSC, and patient has hypotension, soft heart sounds, and JVP distension. And I noticed first time in my life pulses paradoxes. I was not able to feel his radial pulse during inspiration. So I became suspicious of injury in his heart. And so I asked him to arrange experienced surgeons and blood during operation, and and it happened same during surgery. We noticed a small nick in his heart, and so he was bleeding, and there was cardiac tamponade due to blood in his pericardium, and patient was saved. And Kussmaul sign rise in JVP during inspiration, or during inspiration JVP should fall, but Kussmaul sign is there will be rise in JVP during inspiration or failure in fall of JVP during inspiration. This is especially seen in constructive pericarditis. Chest X-ray, we will see cardiomegaly with water bottle configuration. You can see this is cardiomegaly and water bottle, not this. It appears like this, what our children carry during uh, early school. So heart will look like this water bottle. And earlier we used to call it pear-shaped heart. You see this heart is looking like pear. So in X-ray, we will get cardiomegaly and water bottle configuration of heart. And ECG will show low voltage QRS complex and ST segment elevation and T-wave inversion in most of the leads except AVR. In AVR, it will be just reverse of this. You see, this is ST segment elevation and low voltage QRS complex. And ECG, we see electrical alternance. This is electrical. See, this is small and this is big QRS complex. Again small, again big. This is electrical pulses alternance, and we get in, we get in this cardiac tamponade, and this results because of heart swings in pericardial fluid. Sometimes it comes closer to the ECG leads and sometimes go away from cardiac leads. Heart is swinging in pool of pericardial fluid. So there is electrical alternance, pulses, electrical alternance. And echo is very important. This is most important investigation tool, and it's very sensitive, non-invasive, very specific, and it can be done in bedside, and it will localize and estimate the quantity of fluid and help during pericardiocentesis. So echo is most important in almost all heart diseases. Echo is most important, and CT and MRI. This is sometimes this is also very informative, especially in detecting localized pericardial effusion and pericardial thickening and identifying pericardial mass. This CT and MRI is even superior to echo. Serum troponin, C-reactive protein, ESR, full blood count, and serum urea. This will differentiate uh, pericarditis from acute MI, and so this must be done, and we must try to differentiate between acute MI because treatment is different. Acute MI uh, with pericarditis. Treatment is etiology based. If in Indian condition, usually it's due to tuberculosis, so we should give antitubercular drug. If it is due to pathogenic due to bacteria, we should use antibiotics and in chemotherapy for uh, cancer-related pericarditis. And in autoimmune conditions like SLE and rheumatoid arthritis, we should use glucocorticoid. And in uremic, we should do hemodialysis. And in Western condition, it's usually viral or idiopathic. There we use NSAID with proton pump. There will be gastritis, so we must give NSAID is used in high doses, so we should combine with proton pump inhibit this. And in recurrent pericarditis, colchicine is very good drug. And invasive management, especially in tamponade, is pericardiocentesis. You see this where draining pericardial fluid with a needle and syringe, and direction is towards opposite shoulder, and this is very helpful. And in constrictive pericarditis, we do open heart surgery, we do pericardiotomy, we remove the pericardium, and sometimes we do pericardial strapping in constrictive pericarditis, and result is very good, and patient will be relieved from symptoms and signs whole life. This is very rewarding surgery, though big surgery. This pericardiotomy is open heart surgery, but this gives lifelong relief from the disease.